Hey guys, my name is Mavi and I've spent the last 14 years in the plastic surgery and beauty industry, working alongside top board-certified plastic surgeons. In that time, I've helped thousands of women in their surgical journey. My passion to educate and help women feel empowered is what led to what we now know as the Big Butts, No Lies podcast. Join in on the fun as I talk to plastic surgery experts, friends, and real-life patients about all things plastic surgery. Should be fun. Hey guys. Remember last week on Norma's episode, she told us about how she ended up going down the rabbit hole on Instagram and figuring out that maybe she had BII. Remember, she said, I clicked on a girl who had like 1 million followers, and that's the moment my life changed because I figured it out that that's what I had. Well, guess what, y'all? I have her on today. Walessa is coming on to tell us about her journey, how she got to the diagnosis or to the idea that she might have BII, and how her life has been since she's had her implants removed. Walessa, thank you for joining us.
Hi, Mavi. Thank you for having me. Pleasure to be here. So grateful for your platform, informing people out there about plastic surgery. I'm going to tell you guys a little bit more about myself. I am currently living in New York. I'm 33 years old, mom of one, and I used to be an ER nurse for 9 years. Now I do online coaching. I have an online coaching business for Herbalife Nutrition. So I do that full time from home. I've had implants in for quite some time, since 2014. There were little things here and there that just kept on happening. People couldn't answer them for me, doctors. And a few years ago, I found out that my implants were recalled, and that's what started the search into breast implant illness.
So what kind of symptoms did you experience before you had your implants taken out?
I got my first set. I actually got implants twice. So I got my first set of implants in 2014. And I did that in Dominican Republic, of course, because of the cost or whatnot. I was like, yeah, I'm just going to pay $3,000. I'm going to get my boobs done and I'm going to be fine. I was 25 or 26 years old. And everything was great in the beginning. I had never had any type of surgery like that before. So yeah, it was painful. I healed. And then I would say almost a year after the surgery, I started noticing that my right breast was harder than the left. And it was kind of like lifting. Like it was just painful. It was uncomfortable and it was hard. And it wasn't too significant in the beginning. And then it started getting worse. It was getting harder. It was like lifting more. It was becoming painful, uncomfortable. Like without a bra, it looked asymmetric. Like one was a little higher, one was a little bigger. And in between that, I would say like a year and a half later, I woke up one day and I couldn't move my entire body. Like my whole body was swollen. I was in pain from head to toe. I hadn't done anything crazy the day before, the week before. It was literally like a Wednesday. And I woke up completely swollen, in pain. I couldn't move. I had no idea what was happening. I ended up calling my doctor, which was close by. I managed to get in the car and drive there. And he couldn't explain what happened. He said, you're swollen from head to toe. I'm going to draw some blood work and see what it is. He was like, you don't have a fever or anything. You didn't injure yourself. You don't have food poisoning. He said, just go home, take some ibuprofen around the clock and, call me tomorrow if it gets worse and we can send you to the ER. But, I don't know what it is. The only thing that came back in my blood work was I had like a high inflammatory response. So my body was responding to something, but they just didn't know what it was. I didn't have an infection. I didn't have anything going on. After a few days, it started getting better. I didn't pay any mind to it. About a year later, it happened again.
Wow, this is really interesting. I had never heard of this. I hadn't heard this before.
Yeah, it happened again. I just woke up one day and my hands were swollen. My feet were swollen. I was in pain. Like it felt like all my joints were on fire. Again, I went to the doctor. He ended up referring me to a rheumatologist. He was like, maybe you have something else going. But it was a whole year later. I went to the rheumatologist. They did a series of blood work. Nothing came back positive except it's called CRP, which basically indicates an inflammatory response of some sort. But everything else was negative. They did x-rays. They thought maybe I had like a joint disorder. They didn't know what it was, but nothing came back like that they can pinpoint where it was coming from. They did testing for rheumatoid arthritis. They did testing for lupus. They did testing for all kinds of autoimmune illnesses. Nothing came back. So after the second time, my breast was already like super painful. I ended up consulting with 2 surgeons in New York to see what it was, because I wasn't going to go back to Dominican Republic. And they basically said that I had capsular contraction on the right and that it was just going to keep getting worse. The only way to pretty much reverse that or help it or fix it was to remove the implants, remove that capsule and then replace them. So I said, okay, well, I'm not going to have this get worse and have like a rock hard breast. So I went ahead and I did it again in 2016. So I had the 2-year-old implants taken out, removed, and replaced.
Okay. And what did you get the second time around? Do you remember?
It was in Manhattan.
Did you get silicone or saline?
So I got textured silicone, Allergan textured silicone. I think they're called Natrel or something like that. They're like the gummy bear implant. So I didn't know. I didn't really do any research and like see like which type of implant was, the best or whatnot, or why capsular contraction would happen. Both surgeons ended up telling me that it happens in like 6% of cases. They didn't really indicate that there was a problem. But now coming to understand it, that was basically a sign that my body was rejecting those implants. Because if I overscarred and I had a complication from the first one, then that could have been an indication like, okay, your body's fighting this and that's why you're overproducing scar tissue and that's why you're having this problem. Now, after learning about breast implant illness and all these things, now it makes sense. But back then I wasn't worried about researching or anything. I didn't really think breast implants would make me sick or have a problem. So I was like, you know what? I'm having pain. Let me just replace them. And then that's it. I'll be done with them. So I got the second surgery. I was fine. A few months after that, like I was healed. I was, already working out, doing all this stuff. It happened again, the swelling.
Oh, wow.
Like the full body. And the third time I was like, all right, this is not
normal. Like something's going on.
They can't pinpoint it. It lasts a couple of days and I'm in pain. I'm completely swollen. Like something is going on. So I went to another rheumatologist and that's when they diagnosed me with lupus.
So they did diagnose you with lupus.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
But that was already, so my first implants were January 2014. I didn't get diagnosed with lupus till December 2017.
Wow. Okay. After the second set of implants.
And my third episode of like complete body swelling out of nowhere.
Wow. Okay. So then you're diagnosed with lupus.
Yes.
How long before you came from lupus to BII?
It was about a year and a half, I would say. A year and a half. I was diagnosed in December of 2017. And then in the spring of 2019, I would want to say it was around April or maybe like March or April, I started seeing a friend of mine who actually got her implants replaced at the same place that I got my implants replaced. She went actually 3 months after I did. So I got my second surgery May 2016. And she had implants in for like 8 years already. And she was saying like, oh, I want to change mine. How do you feel after yours? And I gave her a great review. And I was like, honestly, you did a great job. I love my implants or whatever. She ended up going to the same surgeon, getting the same implants that I had. Because I told her, oh, he told me about this new gummy bear silicone, blah, blah, blah. She was like, all right, great. So a year after her getting her implants in, she started having all these symptoms. She started researching and whatnot. And that's when she came across breast implant illness. And she was like, I'm removing my implants. So I didn't learn about breast implant illness. I didn't know that my implants and her implants were recalled until she started posting about it.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah. She texted me and she was like, listen, she was like, did you know that our implants were recalled? And I'm like, what are you talking about? She was like, the implants that you had put in, that I had put in, which are the same kind, were recalled. And I said, no. And she was like, yeah. She was like, I'm so pissed. I called the surgeon. They said they sent out letters, but I never got a letter. She was like, yeah. And they're linked to autoimmune disorder. She was like, you have lupus. You should take yours out. She gave me all this information like in 30 seconds. I'm like, what are you talking about? I'm like, Vimy, you're crazy. Like, what are you talking about? She was like, girl, she was like, look at my stories, what I've been sharing. And she had this whole highlight. She had gone on a rant. She was just like deep into this, trying to inform as many people as possible about breast implant illness. She had started consulting with surgeons. She had gotten all this testing done. Like, she was full in it. And that was the first time that I learned about it. So I ended up looking up the implants. They were recalled. I ended up like reading into breast implant illness. But at that time, I was also like 4 months away from my wedding.
Oh
like
my
I was
gosh.
wedding. So I'm like, I was already overwhelmed. I was busy. And I was like, you know what you focus on grows is probably not even related. It's probably not even that. Like, I can't do this right now. That's what I basically said. I was like, I can't do this right now. Like, whatever. Like, I'll wish her the best on her journey, but that's not it for me. Like, I'm not taking my implants out. Like, I'm not sick because of them. This is crazy. That's bullshit. I never heard of this. Sorry for cursing.
Yeah, you can say whatever you want.
Yeah, I just put it under the rug and I was like, it's not it. Whatever. I'm just going to continue living. Like, I've already been dealing with, lupus for 2+ years, 3+ years, like, and mine wasn't to the point that I had like daily medications or I was always sick. It was kind of like symptomatic. Like one day I would wake up and I would have like really bad joint pain and swollen for like 3 days and then it would get better. So I basically treated it as I went. I have a pretty healthy lifestyle. I work out, I eat clean. And that's another thing that like my rheumatologist always said. He was like, you probably don't have first symptoms because of your lifestyle and the way that you take care of yourself. But they had suggested like, if you want to get on daily medications, you can just let us know. And, we can give you something like, therapeutically for you to not develop these symptoms. And I was just like, no, I'll just treat it as I go. Like I'm okay. Stronger than this. So I learned about breast implant illness, implants, like, and the possible side effects and like, oh my God, maybe all these symptoms are related to that in, I want to say like April 2019. So I just, brushed it under the rug. I kept on going with life. And then I got married. I got pregnant. I had a baby. And it really wasn't until 4 months, I want to say 3 months after having my baby, we were moving and stuff and I couldn't even get up the stairs. Like I had another episode.
Wow. Fatigue or just joint pain?
My symptoms are like chronic fatigue, joint pain, swelling, brain fog, anxiety. I was also having like numbness to my hands to the point where I had to sleep with a brace. I have to sleep with braces, which is now much better after the surgery, actually. I had to sleep with like a brace on my wrist because I would get extreme numbness in the middle of the night and I couldn't sleep. Like it would wake me up.
Let me remind you guys, Norma said the exact same things that Walessa is saying. Joint pain, hand pain. If y'all remember in her episode, after surgery, she was able to actually not have her brace on her hand. And she was like, look, Ma, no bandage.
Yes. Yeah. Night sweats. Terrible night sweats, chronic fatigue. Like, I mean, I'm pretty active. I'm pretty healthy. And it was like in the middle of the day, sometimes I would just get like, oh my God, like I needed to like close my. So all those symptoms were just getting worse. Like after I moved into my house and it was the winter time. So I'm like, okay, maybe it's because it's cold outside, but it got to the point where like it was becoming difficult for me to go up and down the stairs and have a newborn and, just moving into a house. I was like, okay, no, I need to find another rheumatologist in my area and I need to get checked out again. So I did find someone and went and they were like, listen, like, we're going to send you for blood work. Maybe now is the time to start daily medication. That was, I want to say January of 2021. So earlier this year, she's like, maybe now's the time to start something daily just to keep your symptoms like, from coming so strong when they do. And I did do that. And my symptoms, it would be a few days here and there. So it hasn't been something that has like incapacitated me until September, which was like, that was the tipping point for me and the cherry on top. September of this year, I ended up getting strep throat, which I didn't even know I had strep throat that triggered a massive flare up. And I ended up in the hospital for 6 days because I literally could not walk.
Wow.
Yeah. And that's when it kind of, it clicked for me when I was in the hospital and I was like, all right, like that's it. Like I've had enough red flags. I've had enough like things happen to me where I need to finally take action. Like I need to be willing to look into breast implant illness and get serious about this. And if it is my implants, like I'm willing to part ways with them to find out if this is what's making me sick and if I could possibly get better. So before I was even discharged from the hospital, I had already made a decision that I was going to remove my implants and that I was going to take this serious. And it was the crazy thing because I hadn't even told my hadn't shared it with anyone prior to me even saying anything about breast implant illness. Well, what had happened to me, because I didn't even say what had happened to me. You know, I had posted briefly that I was in the hospital, but I wasn't talking about it or anything. I had two people that followed me, two of my followers, reach out to me and talk to me about breast implant illness without me saying anything.
Wow.
And that was just like a sign. Because
what did they say to you?
Well, one girl, me and her used to work together years ago. She's a nurse. I'm a nurse too. And we've always kept in contact on social media here and there. She actually ended up moving to Florida. And we still we would see each other on social media, whatnot. She reached out to me and she said, hey, I'm glad that you're home. She was like, I saw that you posted you were in the hospital. I'm glad that you're home and I really hope you feel better. She was like, I hope you don't get offended by this, but do you have implants? Just straight up like that. Like I hadn't mentioned nothing about my implants ever. And I responded to her. I said, yes, I already know what you're going to tell me. You're going to talk to me about breast implant illness. I didn't know that she had breast implant illness. I didn't know that she had explants. I never even knew that she had implants. Like we had never had that conversation.
Wow.
And she said, yes, I am going to talk to you about that. I don't know if you heard of it. She was like, I just got my implants removed 4 months ago and my life has completely changed. And she ended up telling me what happened to her. She had gotten diagnosed with Hashimoto's. At one point, she thought she had breast cancer. She said her hair fell out, that she ended up in the hospital. She was almost out of no, she had 20/20 vision. And then she ended up needing glasses, having a cataract surgery. So many things had happened to her. And it was 3 years of suffering before she actually started looking into things that can make you sick and realize that it was her implant. And then she told me it's been 4 months. And honestly, 90% of my symptoms have gone away. And I was like, are you kidding me? She was like, I'm so serious. She was like, I don't know if you're going through this, but, maybe it's something you should look into. And I was like, you know what? I actually made the decision 2 days ago that I was going to look into this. And now you messaging me is just a sign from God. I need to do this.
So after that was when you decided, okay, you know what? I'm going to get my implants removed. How was it finding a surgeon? I know in the past, I've had experiences with patients who struggle to find a surgeon who can do it with how they are told an en bloc procedure has to be done. How was that journey for you?
Well, that friend, that old coworker that messaged me, she was actually a great resource because I told her, and I was like, okay, where did you find all the information that you needed, what was helpful to you. So she lives in Miami and she actually ended up getting her surgery in Miami. So she recommended her surgeon to me, of course, because she had amazing reviews and amazing things to say. I told her, I'm not willing to travel. So she told me, listen, join this Facebook group, which is called Breast Implant Illness by Nicole. She was like, they have a lot of files and information on there. She's like, you have to be accepted. And then she also sent me a website, which is, there's two websites. There's a website that's by that person who started that Facebook group. It's called Breast Implant Illness something, but it's the same person who created the Facebook group that created a website.
Mm-hmm. I think it's healing with Nicole.
Healing Breast Implant Illness. That's the website. Healing Breast Implant. So I went on that website, and then there was another one that's called Breast Implant Illness. That website too. So both websites had resources of the top recommended surgeons by state. So I booked maybe 7 consultations. I was just going crazy, reading reviews, booking consultations. And I'm like, I need to get this done ASAP. I didn't actually end up going to 7. I only went to 3 and I went with my third surgeon. So I ended up canceling all the other ones.
Good. I'm glad you went with more than one. So you did have a good variety. You did have good options of surgeons who would take on your case. When you talked to your surgeon, how was he about BII? Because I know I've had patients tell me that they've gone to their surgeon and that their surgeon is like, oh, you're fine. It's not that. What's your husband going to say? So those types of comments.
Well, I had, in the beginning of the consultation, I was like, what's your take on breast implant illness? And he said, from my standpoint, he was like, there's no, I can't ignore the fact that so many women are having symptoms, He said, there's nothing scientifically that proves yes, these implants are making you sick because there's no definitive test to know if your implants are making you sick. But to see so many women, having the same or similar complaints and then seeing so many women feel better after removing their implants, he was like, that has to make
You can't ignore it.
Yeah, he said, I can't ignore it. I can't ignore what women are telling me. I can't ignore that they're all feeling this certain type of way after implants. And he said, I do think that part of it is also, mental. He was like, if you think that something is making you sick for so long and you remove it from your body, automatically that's going to be like a sigh of relief. Like you're going to start to feel better just to know that
the implants are gone.
Is no longer in your body. He was like, and then the other symptoms, if they start going away, he's like, it'll take time, but I do believe it's real. He's like, there's nothing from our standpoint that can prove that it's real, but I do believe it's real. So I made sure I asked him that first. So, I know who I'm dealing with, somebody with compassion, somebody who actually cares and who's interested in how I'm feeling as opposed to just the look.
Absolutely. I love that. Keep going.
He also told me, which this was an alarming fact. He said, I asked him, I was like, what percentage of the women that you perform the Explant with M-Block procedure on actually feel better? And he said about 60 to 70% of them claim to feel amazing. Their symptoms better over time. And then he said 20% of them end up coming back to get new implants put in.
What?
Yes. And that was great. And I was like, are you serious? He was like, yes, because they end up realizing that it wasn't their implants that made them sick and they love the look. He was like, I kid you not. I've had 2% of the women that I explant come back to get implants put in.
Well, if y'all listen to the last episode, Dr. Hustak did say when I asked her, what if a patient thinks they have BII, what should be the first thing they do? And her reply was a full body workup. Make sure it's not a thyroid or any, menopause, anything else that could be causing it before you go take your implants out. I guess because of this reason, because once you realize it's not that, then you're paying again to have them put back in.
Yes, exactly. So that was alarming to me. And he's like, are you sure you don't want to replace them? And I said, no. He was like, I just want to make sure I tell you and I inform you of all the facts because I don't want you to be upset and be like, oh, okay, like, you could have told me to replace them or, I want to come back and get them done again. He was like, so you want them out completely? Like, you don't want anything put in? You just want me to do this and like reconstruct you? And I said, yes, absolutely. I am completely okay with that.
Perfect.
Like I had made up my mind that I no longer needed to have implants, that I no longer wanted to have implants.
Did you consider any fat grafting or anything? Or
no, I didn't. I just didn't want my recovery process to be longer because I understand that, like, if they're taking fat from another part of your body, that's another incision or another,
recovery for sure.
Yeah, that's another recovery. Like, let's say they would have taken, there was one surgeon that I consulted with. He said, I can take some fat from your thighs and, I can do a fat grafting to your breast. And I was like, absolutely not.
Yeah, you have nice thighs. No.
So I'm like, no, I'm okay. Like, I really don't need you to like do lipo in my thighs because then that's another recovery, then that's something else. Like I'm going to be in pain, everywhere then, not only my chest, but my legs are going to hurt too. So I just didn't want any of that. And I was already completely mentally okay with, having smaller breasts. Like I was okay with that.
And how do you feel? Okay, so you had your surgery. Were you one of those that immediately when you open your eyes, you feel different? Or did it take a few days? How has your recovery from the BII symptoms been since then?
Honestly, as soon as I woke up, I felt less pain than when I got the implants put in both times.
Wow.
I remember that pain and I felt like I was going to die. I was just like, this is the worst pain I've ever had in my life. Like it was so bad. And I couldn't stand up straight for 3 days. Like I couldn't walk. I couldn't, wipe my own butt. Like I couldn't do any of that for 3 to 4 days after getting my implants put in both times. And after this surgery, after my explant, I was walking straight by myself. Yeah, I had pain, but I was walking straight. I was, using the bathroom. Like I was so much more mobile and in so much less pain than when having the implants put in. That was the first thing I remembered. The energy. I had energy, which was crazy. Like I didn't want to just lay down and fall asleep. Like I wanted to like be up and talk to my family members, which was so weird because I didn't have that experience putting the implants in. So that was the first like 2 things that I noticed. I was just like, like I can actually move around. I can sit up. I can walk. Like I'm not handicapped and bent over for 4 days. Also, the hand numbness has gotten so much better. Like I haven't slept with maybe in the past month, because it has been a month already. I've slept with my wrist braces maybe twice.
That's amazing.
Yeah, so that has gotten so much better. Also, during the day, I feel like I have more energy, but the joint pain is still there. Like it's pretty bad. It's not only like, okay, my hand hurts. No, like when I say joint pain, I'm talking about my shoulders, my elbows, my knees, my hips, my ankles. Like almost every single joint in my body hurts. It doesn't hurt to the point where I'm crippled, like hospitalized, how I was in September, but it hurts that it's like I move and I'm like, ow, like, that hurts. But I did have my post-op appointment on Thursday, and I told him, and I was like, hey, like, I still have pain. He was like, it takes a few months. He was like, if it was your implants that was making you sick, your body naturally needs to detox from that. He was like, it could take months before, all your symptoms, hopefully, or the majority of them go away. And he was like, you're on the right track. You look amazing. You're not in, he was like, everything looks the way that it's supposed to look. You just have to give yourself time to heal.
Right. So I think 3 months is what they say, what Dr. Hustak said, that they usually start feeling relief by around 3 months.
Yeah. So I have 2 more to go.
So you're 1 month post-op now. We'll check on you in a couple of months to see how you're feeling. I've been checking on my friend Norma, and she's doing a lot better. She still says no hand brace, which was huge for her. She still has, the fatigue is a lot better, but she still has a little bit of it, but way better than it was before, which sounds like you are the same. Hopefully in the next 2 months, you'll see a total relief of your symptoms.
Yes. I can't wait. I can't wait. I'm just like, all right, I'm just going to take it day by day, and I've even been very cautious, like getting back to my workouts and stuff. And I kind of take it like, okay, like, let me see how I feel today. And I try not to push myself. I mean, according to my surgeon, he's like, you can do anything. He was like, you might not feel comfortable doing everything. He was like, but you can do anything. He was like, you can do a push-up at this point. And I was like, wait a minute. He was like, you can. He was like, you're not going to hurt anything. He was like, if you tie your arms down to your body for the next couple of months, or if you're super active, you're not going to change the outcome of your surgery.
Right. Explants are the recovery. Once you get your drains out, it's pretty good. It's pretty easy. It's not as intense like when you get the implants in, that it takes a while for your muscle to kind of relax and for the implants to drop into place. It's a lot different recovery.
Yeah. So
before we go too far, I did want to talk to you guys about the recall that Walessa talked about. So the recall that she was talking about was on Allergan textured implants only. And it was all over the news, and it was a really big deal because these implants, textured implants, are more for breast cancer reconstruction. So out in practice, there wasn't really a lot of surgeons using these textured silicone implants. Most of them are using like smooth, round silicone implants. The gummy bear verbiage, that marketing thing, they're all the same. The silicone has a slightly different, some are more firm, some are less firm, some are wider, some are thinner. That's really what the difference is. But that gummy bear, that silicone where you cut it in half and the silicone stays within the implant, you have to squeeze it out. And even when you squeeze it out and you release, the silicone goes back in. That's that gummy bear that they talk about, but they're all pretty much the same. The difference is some people use those textured implants when you're very, very flat and you want that teardrop look, because it's shaped. They have that teardrop shape, the more natural shape, and the texture helps it stay up because it like creates friction a little bit. So what came and happened, I believe it was 2019, right? So in 2019, there was a link between a specific type of cancer. I'm going to pull it up so I can tell you guys.
I think it was a type of lymphoma.
Yeah, it's a type of lymphoma. So let's see. Anaplastic large cell lymphoma, a type of non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. So what they were finding was that on these textured implants, there was some sort of like bacteria or something that was growing in the texture of the implant, that was causing this disease. And the solution was take them out. Once you remove it, you remove the whole thing, you remove the implant, the capsule, you take it all out, then the problem usually resolves. But there was, I believe, 33 deaths from it. So there was a recall. There was a huge thing. Patients were informed if they had it, they should have gotten a letter. And they should have gotten a letter from Allergan too, because when you get your implants, they give you your implant card, your implant card. Please, you guys, if you have implants and you still have your implant card, you have to register your implants. They keep track of it. Your hospital, the doctor, and the company, they all keep track of the serial numbers that are on the implants that are in your body that are on this card. So please register your implants. Make sure you keep all of that information for later on. If anything like this happens again and there's a recall, you know what you have inside of your body. And if you have to get them removed, it should all be covered under the recall. So that's what that recall was. And what I was saying was that most of the time, those implants were being used in breast cancer reconstruction. So they weren't used like widely by a lot of surgeons. It happened to be that maybe your surgeon did like that implant. Were you very thin? Was your skin thin, or did you have a lot of breast tissue?
No, because remember, I was coming from...
Oh, and you had...
Already.
That's right.
Implants, so he was just changing them out, which I didn't actually know that those were like used more for like breast cancer, breast reconstruction. I had no idea. He just told me, are you interested in saline or silicone? And I told him silicone. And he said, well, he was like, we have this new kind of implant. It's called the gummy bear. He was like, it's, it will last you longer. You can actually shape it. He just told me a lot of good things about the gummy bear silicone. And it was around the same price as the other silicone. So I was like, yeah, sure. Why not? If this is the hot new thing. And this is like, what's giving the best results, why not? Like, I didn't think anything of it. And then actually, when I went to my consult with my surgeon who did my explant, he said, why did they give you textured implants? And I said, honestly, I don't know. That's what they said was like the hot new thing. And he was like, I would never. He was like, you don't need. He was like, he said very few surgeons actually recommend textured implants unless, you have like a severe, like a massive breast reconstruction or something. And I said, really? He was like, yeah, there's no reason why.
I didn't want to say it like that, but yeah, pretty much.
What are you talking about? And he was like, why do you have, he basically was like, why do you have textured implants? And I said, I don't know.
That was exactly what I thought, but I didn't say it out loud because of course I don't know. Maybe he was getting phenomenal results from it, but it's really not widely used out there other than in breast reconstruction.
Yeah. So I had no idea. I really had no idea.
But this goes to show that the implant type honestly doesn't even have an effect on whether it's on BII, because if y'all remember, Norma had smooth, round saline implants and Walessa had textured silicone implants.
But the first time I had just regular smooth silicone implants. And I had already started having symptoms after the first implant.
Yes, I don't think it has to do with the actual implant, like the implant material difference causing it. Like for some people who think, oh, it's saline implants or it's silicone implants. Because before there was during the early, what year was that? In the thousands, they weren't doing, in the 90s and in the early thousands, they weren't doing silicone. They were doing saline only, pretty much because of that silicone scare, that moratorium that happened in the early 90s. So if y'all listen to the last episode, Dr. Hustak explains how we almost kind of thought that it was going to be the silicone, but it happens to be that more people with saline are having breast implant illness symptoms.
Yes, it's crazy.
But this, since you've been so vocal with it on Instagram, do you feel like women who follow you have been able to reach out to you more like, oh my God, maybe this is what I've been experiencing it?
Yes, absolutely. I've had so many women, the minute I shared it, I had a lot of women who went through Explant reach out to me and tell me their story, their success story. And then I also had women who had been having symptoms and didn't know about breast implant illness and are like, oh my God, maybe this is what I have too. And then I had women who were considering getting breast implants who now said, because of what you shared and all the information that I saw, I don't think I'm going to get them anymore. So I pretty much had women in all kinds of positions reach out to me and just say, like, thank you for sharing this, because, you know, more people need to know about this. And, you know, this has helped me in some way, shape, or form. So I've definitely gotten great feedback. And I'm just glad that if I even helped one person, then my point in sharing this was completed. You know, it was done. It had a purpose. Only if one person had said something, that would have been enough for me, because, you know, I have this platform, and why not share what's going on with me? You know,
exactly.
You know, there was like a comment here and there, like, oh, like, you know, you could keep that private, like you don't have to share everything. And
really,
and with negativity, with negativity period, I just block it. Like, that's none of your, like, if you didn't serve, if nothing benefited you that I shared, then get off my page.
Pretty much. If you don't like it, you're the one choosing to be here.
Are you forced to be here? Like, did somebody make you comment on this? Like, you know? So I just blocked people who, you know, who had, but very few people had anything negative to say. Most of them were like positive responses, or like, you know, just women being informed, women finally learning about this, like maybe thinking, you know, maybe this is what's happening with me. And then we look into it. A couple of women have actually asked me for my surgeon's information. And one of them actually went, and she told me, like, oh, thank you so much. He's amazing. And I felt
wow,
really
that's amazing.
And, you know, I think I'm going to go through with it. I was like, oh, great. You know,
that's amazing. You're helping women who the thing is with BII, you don't know what you're looking for.
Yeah.
Until you stumble into it. Right.
Mm-hmm.
And what I think a lot of people don't realize is when you're sharing your life, your daily life on social media, it takes a bit for you to really get comfortable with it. So these negative comments, like, they serve no purpose. If anything, it's just like, keep it to yourself.
Right. Right. And I think most people, you know, not most people, but I think a lot of people were just shocked, period, because I had never mentioned any of this. You know, I always show up. I share my social media regularly, every single day, on my stories, on my posts, on my feeds. And I'm always happy. You know, I'm always happy. I'm always with a positive attitude. I'm, you know, sharing things about my life, but I was never complaining that I was in pain. I was never telling people like how I felt, you know, like all these different, it's been years. It's been years of like chronic fatigue. It's been years of joint pain. It's been years of night sweats. It's been years of brain fog. And I never once complained to anyone about anything. Like, even my husband didn't know that I was in pain every day. Like, when it would get bad, I would be like, oh, like, you know, I'm in pain. And I would tell him, but he didn't know that it was daily.
Wow.
He had no idea. He was one day he was like, you know, he's like, babe, you're going to get better. He was like, you know, you always do. And I was like, I don't know if you know that I've had pain every single day for like the last 5 years. He was like, what? Really? He was like, you never say anything. And I'm like, what am I going to do? I'm going to go around every day saying I'm in pain, I'm in pain, I'm in pain. Like, no, I got stuff to do.
Oh my goodness.
So a lot of people were shocked when they were like, wow, like I had no idea you were going through this. And, you know, a lot of people didn't know that I was going through that. My close friends maybe would have, you know, they knew to some extent, but nobody really knew like that this was a daily struggle for me.
You know, this correlates with what Norma told us. If I don't know if y'all remember, she said, I stopped talking about it because I was always complaining, like, now I have this hurts. Now this hurts. Now I'm seeing this specialist. Now I'm seeing this specialist. She's like, I just stopped talking about it because people were starting to call me a hypochondriac.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, wow. So you guys, the moral of the story is when you feel like something's off and you think, I need to investigate, I need to do this, I need to figure it out. It's almost like for breast implants. My first go-to would be take out my implants, which now, since I've been talking about BII and thinking about BII and reading and all of these things, even though I had already been exposed to it before, now I'm like, God, I kind of feel something in my breast. Is it all in my mind? I think it might be, but because now I'm like, on my right side, I do feel like a little bit of tightness. And of course, I'm already like, I'm feeling like, does it feel hard? Is it capsular contracture? I did have a little bit of bleeding during my breast reduction. So I already kind of, and sometimes when that happens, it's like almost like you already know something's going to happen. You're probably going to end up getting capsular contracture or something like that. So I've already had that in my mind. I've been taking the Singulair to try to help prevent it. It's been fine, but I guess y'all will find out soon enough. If I have to get my implants removed, I'll let y'all know.
Yeah, definitely.
I'm thinking about it now, but probably not unless I have some symptoms very similar to yours or Norma's or any of the women who have reached out, because I have had women reach out through Instagram who are wondering, should I get implants? I'm considering. So, Walessa, what do you think? If it was your best friend, what would you say?
If it was my best friend, then I would tell her, like, look, if you want to get them, that's a decision, of course, but you should know that this is a possibility. And I've said that from the beginning because I didn't want people to think that all of a sudden I'm like, no, nobody get breast implants, because it's not everyone. I know a lot of women with breast implants that are doing great. That feel fine, that love their surgery, that love the way their breasts look, that are happy, that are living a good life. It's not everyone that develops these symptoms. So I made sure to say that, like, not everyone will develop breast implant illness, but it's just something to be mindful of. Like if somebody would have told me maybe day one, like when I went for my first consult in 2014, like, hey, just so you know, there is a possibility that these can make you sick, I probably wouldn't have gotten them. Even if it was like a 2% chance, I probably wouldn't have gotten them, but at least it was something that I knew.
Right. If it's something that you know ahead of time, not that you're trying to figure out as it's happening to you.
Right. Like now that they put like a black box warning, the FDA, like now you have to have informed consent. Like you have to tell women like, hey, it might not happen to you, but this could cause you to have cancer. Basically, and I think that's a great push. Just women just knowing, having an informed decision, like, so that way it's not like a surprise to them, or they're not like, wait, what the hell? Like they lied to me, or they feel like they were cheated out of, knowing the information that they needed to know. So I would tell them, be like, hey, this will happen to me. That may not happen to you. I hope it doesn't happen to you, but just so you know.
That's right. And you guys, when you are going to your plastic surgeon, you should be getting a pamphlet or a little booklet that's about, 40 pages long with the information about your implants. It should have when you open the booklet, it should have the information for you to fill in your name, your surgeon's name, your implant type, your serial numbers. And then after that, you're reading everything about your implants. And I know for a fact, because I've been there, when I hand it over to you guys, y'all just put it in your purse and I don't think y'all ever really look at it. But it's something that you have to look at when you're looking at your consents, when you're looking at your implants. Really talk to your surgeon about it. If you still decide to go ahead and get them, talk to them and just have them on speed dial. You already know, once you hear about BII, I think you already have that mentality of, if something were to happen, if I get any symptoms, they're coming out.
Yeah.
Before.
Yeah.
I'm glad you're feeling better though. And I hope in the next 2 months you feel way better than how you feel now.
I am looking forward to it because I really just want to feel better.
I saw on your Instagram, you said you felt like your life has changed since you got them removed.
Yeah, like I do feel like it was the right decision. I absolutely feel like it was the right decision. I'm happy with the way they look. And just like, a month in, I already have more energy and I already have the numbness from my hands going away. So I'm like, okay, like things are looking in the right direction. Like nothing has gotten worse since making the decision to remove my implants. So I am excited and I'm just looking forward to, feeling better. And I am a positive person overall. Like I really don't focus on the negative things. Like I'm just like, all right, like what's the solution? What can we do about this? So I'm just hopeful and just trying to be as patient as possible to like wait it out. Like, of course, I want something instant, but that's not the way it works. So I'm just looking forward to like improving and feeling better and just like crossing things off the list one by one.
That's awesome. And Willis, tell us, what do you do with your coaching? How do you help your clients, or what do you do?
So with my coaching, what I do is basically I help people supplement their diet. So if someone tells me that they are looking to lose weight or lose 20 pounds, then I would put together a program for them, including meals and our shakes and our supplements in order for them to meet that goal. So we pretty much focus on smaller meals throughout the day as opposed to having bigger meals. And it's more of a balanced diet. Like we're not eliminating anything aggressively. Of course, you try to stay away from like greasy stuff, fast food, like high sugars, but you can eat carbs, you can eat sugar in moderation. Everything is in moderation. So it kind of helps you have that balanced diet in order for you to get results. So when I had started, I was just looking to lose 10 pounds and get more energy. I mean, I was an ER nurse. I was working 3 jobs, and being in an ER in New York City is no joke. I was exhausted. I was 27 years old and I was exhausted. Like, I was just like, this is not it. And I had already been working out for 3 years, but my diet was all over the place. Imagine working 3 jobs, going to the gym. So I consistently worked out for 3 years and I had no results. Like I hadn't lost a pound. I hadn't, I wasn't really toned or anything. I was just going to go basically to say like, okay, I worked out today. And it wasn't until I found Herbalife that I finally got results. Within 2.5 months, I was down 20 pounds and all I did was change my diet.
Wow, that's amazing. So the women that you help, are you coaching them also on how to do what you do? Aren't you I thought I saw something on your Instagram that you...
So I can help people get started, whether it's on their own personal fitness journey, or I can also help them start the business and do what I do. Because it's fairly simple, as long as you're sharing and you're doing what you're supposed to do, because we lead by example. So in me, like sharing my journey, it's super easy for me to recommend to people because I'm showing them exactly what I'm doing. So all you do is really recommend to them what they need based on their goal. Once they say they want to do this, I tell them which products they need to purchase. Once they purchase their products, I send them a full meal plan. I send them a workout guide. I add them to my motivational group chat, which is other people that are on their journey too. So that kind of helps them feel motivated because if you're the only person in your household that's all of a sudden on this health kick, it's kind of hard to stay motivated. But if you have a whole online support group of people who are doing the same thing you're doing, it helps. So I plug them into that community. I follow up with them, one-on-one, once a week. How are you doing? How's everything going? Do you have any questions? So it's something that I can do from my house or that anyone can do, regardless if you have another job, if you have a family, because it's just talking to people.
It's just helping and coaching through, which you say it like it's just helping, but it's so much more than that. It's so much more involved. I know we're so used to downplaying what we do and, I'm just talking, I'm just doing this, but girl, own it. You're changing people's lives every day. You're helping people be successful and feel good and look good. You're doing a lot. It's not just talking.
Thank you. And it's been a challenge, especially since September, from September to now. Like I've been sick. I've been battling this. Like I was in the hospital for a week, then I had the Explant. So I haven't even been as active as I usually am. And my business has not taken a hit. Like I've still been able to inspire people from wherever I am. Even when I wasn't able to work out, I would tell them, be like, hey, like I was still getting results. I told, between the beginning of September and now, I've lost 13 pounds, and I've toned significantly and I've kept my energy up and I've done all these things despite not being as active. So just by showing them the example, like, hey, no matter where you are, what's going on in your life, you can improve.
You can improve.
So that has been inspiring to a lot of people. And I'm just grateful that I'm able to do this from home and I'm able to continue to help people. And, I don't take it for granted, the platform that I have. That's why I try to inform as much as possible.
I love it. So tell our listeners where they can find you.
Yes. So on Instagram, I am Walessa_M. So that is WALESSA_M as in Mary. That's my main platform. I do have a Facebook page that I don't really use. And you guys can reach out to me there, send me a message or, just follow whatever you'd like. And if you want to get started on anything, you find any information useful, feel free to reach out.
I love it. So you guys remind her, hey, I heard you on Big Butts No Lies podcast. Mavi sent me over here. Let's get started. Because I know one of how this can play in with my coaching is a lot of the time when patients are looking for plastic surgery, they're not ready. They're not at the appropriate weight. And I know I keep saying this to you guys, like, make sure you're close to your goal weight, make sure you're close to your goal weight, because once you have your plastic surgery, for example, if you have a tummy tuck and you're not at the goal weight that you want, and then all of a sudden you start losing and then you end up with excess skin again. So same thing with liposuction. If you get liposuction and you gain or you lose weight, you could change your results because now you don't look like how you looked when you got off the table. So being at your goal weight, I would say, is probably the first step to having a successful plastic surgery and long-term result. So you guys look up Walessa if you need help with weight loss or just getting on a plan, and she'll be able to help you guys.
Yes. And it's not only for weight loss, because, I've had some people be like, oh, I thought you were a weight loss company. We'd also have a NSF certified athlete line. So if you're just looking to build muscle or gain weight, we have plans for that as well. We also have plans for healthy pregnancy, postpartum. I've been on my own plan for the past 6 years, and I went from losing weight to having a healthy pregnancy to breastfeeding to then losing another 40 pounds postpartum. So I help people on all journeys. And I have even had clients tell me from day one, I'm going to get a BBL in June and I need to lose 40 pounds before that. And I'm like, all right, let's do it.
Let's do it. I love it.
My clients tell me straight up, like, listen, this is what I'm going to do, but I need to lose weight. And I'm like, great, let's do it, because nutrition is so important, especially after having some type of, physically altering surgery. If you have a liposuction or a BBL and you continue to have unhealthy habits, you're going to gain the weight back. And then you're going to look completely different because you're going to gain weight in areas where you never gained weight before because you have more fat in those areas. So it's super important to have a good nutrition in order to maintain your results. So I can help you guys with any journey. Just feel free to reach out.
I love it. And you guys, to add to what Walessa said, if you are not close to that goal weight, the results change. And if you gain weight, you gain it in areas you've never gained before. And let me tell y'all where that is, because I have lived it. My neck, my shoulders, my cheeks, my upper back. It happens. So be there at close to your goal weight. I tell y'all for a reason, because I've lived it. Okay. So get as close as you can.
Yes, absolutely.
All right, Walessa, thank you so much for joining us today. And I'm so happy that you're feeling better. You got your implants out. You're now on your way to a healthier and better feeling you and growing your business as well. Hopefully, if you guys are on your journey and you need some help, you can reach out to Walessa. She'll get you there.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me, Molly.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
I would like to end this episode with a huge thank you to all of our listeners. If you enjoyed this podcast, make sure to subscribe to Big Butts No Lies Podcast and follow us on Instagram at Big Butts No Lies Podcast. If you have a topic you want me to cover, please send it to the DMs. If you know anyone on their plastic surgery journey, be sure to recommend them the show. You can also visit us on our website, bigbuttsnolies.com. You'll see the online surgical recovery store. We're adding new items all the time. If there's something you think I need to have on there, send me a DM. Don't forget to leave us a 5-star rating on Apple Podcasts. And don't forget, new episodes every Monday. I'll see you then.